Captain's log, Stardate 8330.1. It's been 2 days since the Argo arrived at Starbase 123, only to discover that it had been all but destroyed. Working triple shifts, Lieutenant Commander Martel and his engineering team have managed to get one of the station's repair docks operable so that we can repair the hull breaches caused by Dark Jensen's friends. Fortunately, Commander Dodson and several hundred of his yard dogs who survived the attack on 123 have returned to the station to help expedite our repairs and to strip the starbase of all usable supplies and equipment. Our intention is to reactivate the mothballed station K-10 as a base of operations against the invaders from the so-called Mirror Universe. In a bit of good news, the Jenolan-class medical ships sent to Denasia report that the plague there is under control, and they will rendezvous with the Argo and the crew of Starbase 123 at K-10 within the week. Meanwhile, Commanders Wartburg and Dodson have implemented new command, communication, and security codes for our forces to counter the enemy's presumed knowledge of current Starfleet security protocols. However, the probability that our forces have been infiltrated by Mirror operatives is high, so we will probably have only a narrow window of opportunity to provide the invaders with an unpleasant surprise or two. Indeed, that window may have already closed, as the sensor net we created using the Argo's probes has been detecting something. Could be sensor ghosts, could be something else. In any event, I have to assume we are under observation by hostile forces and act accordingly. Despite the paucity of material assets at our disposal, our greatest strategic weakness is the lack of hard intelligence on enemy dispositions, lines of supply, and/or intentions. I need to know where to hit them for maximum effect. The clandestine shipyard is a high priority target, as are the transfer points between the Mirror Universe and our own. But we only know the whereabouts of the former. I still hold out hope that Captain Mitsugi will answer our attempts to communicate with her, but even so, a review of my previous encounter with the captain has left me with some grave doubts as to her reliability. In the end, one thing is clear: we must move against the enemy soon. The longer we wait, the more advantages we lose and the stronger they become. Despite the best efforts of Jensen and her comrades, time is no longer on our side. End log.
All right, we start things off at the bridge of the Argo. Currently, you're inside of what kind of remains one of the docking hangars of Starbase 123. Like the log said, repairs have been completed on the Argo. However, there's another kind of problem that has arisen. Um, Currently, you have crews scouring the starbase to find loosely supplies that you guys can carry. Crews kind of reported in that they were able to find close to 38,276 metric tons of usable material, such as food, medicine, repair equipment, torpedoes, etc. Issue you're running into is, well, the Argo would probably not be able to hold all of that and ferry everyone over to K-10. And we'll pick up from there.
I double checked again, Captain. It's there just isn't the space for it. Even if we rearrange everything, we're looking at there's a lot of our existing cargo that's making this taking this all on a little uh, interesting. I think it's a nice way to put it.
Well, I think our first move is to take teams and assess K-10, its current status. That way we can determine what supplies are priority, and then we can start loading out and shuttling back and forth as necessary. The Genolans can also help with part of that effort, but let's not get let's not fill up the holds until we know exactly what we're going to need beyond the basics.
So we put things on a priority list, move stuff that has to be moved that we can't just leave around as much as possible, and then come back for more non-essentials.
Correct. We need to prioritize, obviously, life support first and foremost, weapons and shielding, the basic station functions, everything from waste disposal to sensors.
Out of curiosity, could we potentially tow it outside the ship and say some large net?
Well, I have heard of some cultures towing zero-G material. It's not something that I've seen in Starfleet service. I suppose in theory we could.
That's not a bad idea either, number one. Still, my recommendation is we make a survey of K-10 and work our way from there, although I don't want to leave any weapons behind for anybody to pick up on, so definitely load all the photon torpedoes.
Yeah, because some of the weapons we could. Oh, go ahead.
Commander Dotson, you're far more up to speed on what K-10 is likely to need than we are. What are your recommendations?
It's hard to say, Captain. K-10 is also a smaller station than Starbase 123. Fitting all my people on board K-10 is going to be problematic in itself. It's going to require a lot of re-engineering on K-10 just in their cargo holds.
Well, we can always take some aboard the Argo.
I'd like to have as much supplies as possibly could, but you never know. We may not be able to make it back out here, too.
It's a fair point. So again, given our situation, I am thinking we should prioritize beyond, again, what's beyond basic life support systems, shields, weapons, and sensors.
GM, I'm going to look up the specs on K-10 and try to compare it to the amount of cargo that we're moving to see how much of that cargo we can actually fit. Assuming best case scenario. Like assuming it's just sitting there pristine and hasn't been messed with by scavengers or whatever.
You can use the computer, the ship's computer, or are you going to kind of go off your top of your head?
Oh, I'll look it up on the computer for sure.
Just for the role purposes. Reason plus science. Difficulty of 1. Assisted by the ship's computers. Plus science.
I'll just roll flat. Ship. Hey.
3 momentum gain, but there's a complication.
I'll just squash the comp.
I was gonna take his threat. Darn. Okay. So you're aware. Currently, there's been 38,000 metric tons collected usable materials from various things, from food, medicine, etc. The total cargo space on board the Argo is 35,000 metric tons. Is what you can carry over there. The issue you're gonna run into is the amount you're going to have to put a lot of your cargo holds just to ferry the starbase crew, which you theoretically realize it will probably take up probably about 50%, if not a little bit more, just to ferry over the starbase crew. So that only
Yeah.
leaves you can carry less than half of the actual material that you've collected from the starbase. As for K-10, it would be able to hold all of that since it is much larger. It's roughly the same size as probably 4 or 5 Excelsior classes.
Oh, okay.
So it would be able to hold all that cargo and be able to hold all those people. They'll just have to convert a lot of the cargo into like livable areas for the time being. That, and then also the 2 other vessels that are going to be inbound from Denasia to K-10 will be able to support some of the crew from the starbase as well.
How close are they to rendezvousing with either K-10 or this planet?
They're going to K-10. They will not be able to reach this planet. They'll ferry them over. They're much slower vessels.
Okay.
They're not as fast as what the Argo is.
So how practical would it be to basically bind and zero G the remaining cargo and then tether it through tractor beam or what have you, and then put it into our warp bubble and then drag it and basically tow it the reins with us?
It is possible. There are many ways you could technically do this.
Was that 25,000 metric tons is what the Argo can carry, or
35.
35.
Oh, 35. My bad.
So with the Starbase crew on board, we've only got room for 17,500 metric tons. But yeah, if we could rig up some sort of containment netting, for lack of a better term, we could probably nestle the overage above the secondary hull in between the nacelles.
Fabricate some sort of hold, physical tethers of some kind as well.
That, yeah, to back up and also use the tractor beams, but that should keep it nicely within our warp field. There's also the possibility of securing, it's the wrong word, but positioning it in the cutout underneath the secondary hull. You know, it has the Excelsior class has that kind of deep cut after the first part. So, I mean, if we can figure out a way to take everything, let's take everything. I'm sure that will cause no end of trouble if we have to go into a combat situation, which means we need to also have a way to jettison the external cargo quickly if necessary.
On top of all that, sir, it'll need to be something we can fabricate quickly. I mean, given enough time, we can fabricate a whole extra cargo module that we can attach to the end of the ship, but that takes,
right,
months, not days. We need a very temporary netting that we can fabricate quickly and attach quickly.
Well, Commander Dotson, we could cut away a section of the hulls from the starbase.
Use that as a sort of, that way we don't have to fabricate materials, we can just scavenge the metals and just repurpose it, which is a lot easier than trying to industrially fabricate
an entire cargo section, tow it instead.
So, Commander Martell, think you and your team could pull this off? I asked that at the wrong time. I'll back that up then. So depending on how well Martell's team could do it, it is a possibility. I don't see, from my understanding of the theoretical side of it, theoretically it all should work. I don't know. Strategically, tactically speaking, it will make life difficult, but as long as we are ready to dump cargo as needed, then it shouldn't hold us back. And ideally, we won't be that long. We are not going to run into anybody out here because this isn't really claimed by anyone but us, truly. So we're only fighting one enemy right now, rather than 2 or 3. Minus pirates, of course, because they're everywhere. But
yes, we should always be prepared for battle.
yes,
it bothers me that we don't have the time to do a preliminary reconnaissance of K-10. We'll be flying in pretty much blind, but I don't want to risk, especially with those sensor ghosts we've been reporting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. When we leave 123, we need to be prepared not to be able to come back.
Yeah, if you can't secure a base, better to move to abandon and move forward. Otherwise, we risk losing all assets. It's a byword of forward intelligence. You can't really never bet that you can hold that a position unguarded won't be found by the enemy.
All right, have Commander Martell coordinate with Commander Dodson's engineering teams and see what they can figure out. Doesn't have to be anything fancy or particularly built to last. Just needs to get things from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm. Also, sir, I think we can probably dole out a few of the shuttles to help expedite the movement of material, just so we're not completely depending on just the Argo physically moving stuff around. The shuttle should actually, GM, correct me if I'm wrong. Do shuttles in this era have tractor beams and stuff?
No.
Oh, never mind. At most, they can carry people up and down and physical stuff, so they can speed moving from things from the planet to us. Right. But they can't really help with the zero-G aspect of our plan.
Right. How goes the quantum resonance vetting of the senior staff and crew?
Rayburn, that's you.
That's an excellent question. How goes the process?
Yeah, GM, did you want me and Rayburn to roll for that, or?
So far, sir, everyone's checked out.
Very good. Well, we just keep periodic scans and randomize the checks every so often so no one gets into a company pattern.
Yes, sir. They won't get past me.
Mm. And Captain, I've been periodically checking Rayburn every so often, just watch the watchers, as it were. And he's been checking me, as I recall.
You noticed, did you?
Good. Hang on a sec, guys. I've got to step away for a sec.
Sure.
Dodson kind of speaks up over to and was like, Commander Wolfgang, when do you think we could start ferrying over the people from the planet?
With the captain's permission, we'll probably start. We can start right away. It'll be slowed a little bit due to the screenings, but we can start shuttling and transporting people up through certain junctures. Rayburn will have the details on the intake procedure. And thankfully, it'll follow the same security procedures for like biocontainment or something like that, so it won't look too out of place and it won't be too unfamiliar. since correct me if I'm wrong, you don't exactly have a full, you're not holding a large civilian complement.
Not this far out. We're not.
Yeah. So everyone will be able to follow orders unless you've had any discipline issues with your crew, which I haven't heard any reports from
We've only-
here.
The only civilians on there are family members for the crew. Other than that, it's
In that event, I would advise, just so everyone knows that they will be picked up, they will be brought up, what the procedures are, and everything should be fine. I wager.
Yeah, by all means, let's get all of Commander Dodson's people aboard. They're our most important resource.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, since everyone in this room's been vetted, there's some other things that have been occurring to me. Commander von Wartburg, what do we know about the USS Azure?
Yeah, Azure, sir. Constellation class ship was stationed in this region for a bit. One of the first exploratory ships in this region. Was captained by one of the Vulcan professors back in the day. At one point, it went missing at a certain interval. Hasn't been seen since. Then again, we haven't really been looking all that hard since then. Since, well, when they did go missing, they went missing about as far as you could possibly get from Starfleet sphere of influence. So
we don't have any clear idea of where it went missing.
We have, GM, correct me if I'm wrong, we have some idea of where last known was, but that's it. We didn't find a whole lot, or at least the reports don't say that we found a whole lot back then. Whether we actually did or not, I haven't. Let me put it this way:
the ship went missing. It's presumed that all crew members were killed.
Yeah,
or missing.
So according to the logs, to reports back from that era, it does look like they either everybody did just up and disappear, which isn't that unheard of on the frontier postings, or someone decided to write it all off and everyone's quietly retired because they saw something they weren't supposed to see, which is also normal for frontier assignments. So effectively, they are gone amongst the stardust.
You are aware from the logs that it went missing about 15 or so light years away from where K-10 is located at. So about 25 light years from your current position in the Shackleton Reach.
Yeah.
Here's why I'm bringing up ancient history. Captain Mitsugi Ray was on her way to answer a stress call from the Azure when she was diverted supposedly by Admiral Marcus to rendezvous with two other Starfleet vessels, the Abjur and something else, which, in Mitsugi's telling, immediately opened fire on her ship, and she barely got away, which is, of course, what started her on her run from Starfleet. Now, Admiral Marcus says that he did not order any sort of diversion and certainly no attack. So, if the mirrors are able to travel back in time, as Varric informed us, it is theoretically possible that all of this started in, 30 years ago? Is that right? 20 years ago. And that Captain Mitsugi was fired upon by mirror ships. However, she did tell us that she had scanned for their quantum resonance and that they appeared to have been from this side of things. Which brings me to a question. Commander von Wartburg and Commander Beckman, I don't suppose either of you managed to get a scan of Captain Mitsugi to see if she is from this side of the mirror.
Um,
I don't think we have.
while on ship, I refrained from on their ship. I didn't scan her in a particular way. I was more concerned about vetting Beckman and getting the scans from their ship out of courtesy, since they were effectively declaring themselves independent of Starfleet, and my very obvious red jacketed appearance didn't really comfort them at all, since they weren't sure who to trust. The only reason they really could trust me is because they outnumbered me by such great measure. But from walking among them and working with them while I was with them, I didn't get any feeling that they were a mirror crew. The briefing about mirror personnel, they can be deceptive, but there's a certain spirit of crew, a certain uh, uh, aura of discipline that they have that's very different from ours. One is respected not by one is loyal not out of respect in the mirror universe. They are loyal out of fear. Power dictates loyalty. That wasn't the atmosphere I felt, and they understood what. No one seemed to begrudge Starfleet values or Federation values. They simply just thought it's the disillusionment one gets when they find out that not everyone in uniform is out for Starfleet, the Federation's interest. But without a scan, I could check over my tricorder logs. Maybe I got a passive or tertiary reading from the surrounding space. But I don't know what that's going to turn up. I couldn't guarantee that I'll get anything.
It's worth a look, and I hadn't really expected you to answer in any other way. However, if this does go back that far, and somebody, for whatever reason, and assuming Ray is who she says she is, somebody obviously didn't want her and her ship coming to the Azure's aid.
Well, frankly, sir, I'm surprised. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, sir, that it would surprise me to see a Constitution detached from Starfleet maintenance yards and support. Ships need around. I think we all know this, but even back then, they built their ships to last. But best case scenario, I would say they'd need a refit or maintenance at some sort of yard, independent or pirate, at least every 5, maybe 10 years. 10 years at the most, I would think.
Understood. But my point number one is, if Captain Mitsugi in the original mission was prevented from rendezvousing with the Azure and was almost destroyed, I'm wondering if the Azure, if all of this is somehow tied together. We need efficient ways to strike back at the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Logistics and lines of supply from the mirror universe to this one is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The mysterious shipyard is the other. If this does go back as far as 20 years ago, one of the mirror universe's crossover points could very well be somewhere at or nearby where the Azure went missing. I'm completely speculating now, but somebody went through an awful lot of trouble to keep Mitsugi from coming to their aid.
Hmm.
And if it wasn't our Admiral Marcus and we did scan him, then maybe it was another Admiral Marcus who gave her the orders to divert. But again, we're still left with the problem of the fact that she did scan the attacking ships and the Tempest and the Abjur, and they showed us from our universe. Now, the flip side is anything built in this shipyard you discovered is going to have the same quantum resonance as anything else built on this side of the mirror, which I think is why they've been smuggling supplies and building materials all the way out here, because we lose our main uh, advantage in detection if suddenly they're fighting us in vessels that read the same quantum resonance as our own, and gives them that much more of an edge in getting close and taking out our own defenses.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to figure out A, how to get that cargo to K-10, and B, how and where to strike the enemy. Now, speaking of Captain Ray's needing to get resurfaced here and there, I don't know the last time anybody from Starfleet has paid a visit on K-10 in the past 15 years. There's a possibility we'll show up there and find it already in use.
Dodson, have you heard any activity reports of ship movement out near K-10 during your tenure?
No. Though there hasn't been any vessels traveling near around K-10, I want to say nearly a decade, if not more.
Anybody could be situated there with that long a gap. I could set up a base with given enough people and engineers.
Exactly. So, when we're ready to move to K-10, we're going to drop out of warp a fair distance away and see if we can't use the Argo sensors to scout the ground ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
Comes down to it, we can always find a convenient place to detach and leave the exterior supplies and move in with a little bit of a lighter load. But first, Commander Martell work with Commander Dodson's people to try and rig up some sort of exterior carrying net or cutaway part of Station 123 to transport the 17,500 metric tons of cargo that we're not going to be able to fit inside the Argo. Needs to be something that, if it's not just relying on tractor beams, can be easily cut or jettisoned in case we need to be able to go into combat footing.
Of course, sir. I'll get right on it.
Commander von Wartburg, I want you to, you and Lieutenant Rayburn to work on potential lines of attack for the shipyards based on what information you have, and see if you can't present me with a plan of action.
Aye, sir.
Understood.
And on top of that, narrow down, if you can, where the Azure's last known position was.
With your permission, sir, I'd like to pull Haran to help with that, just so we have someone from the flight department looking at it.
Whoever you need, number one. All right, let's get to it. We're also going to be getting the rest of Commander Dodson's people aboard first and foremost. So, a busy day or two ahead of us.
Indeed.
Nothing better for Argonauts than a ship to fly and something to do. Shall we close the meeting, sir?
Sorry, it was muted. Yes, let's get to work, gentlemen. Dismissed.
Aye, aye.
Aye, sir. I'll actually motion the jet for a moment to kind of pull him aside to talk to him. Okay.
Who'd you motion?
I motioned the jet, the Starfleet spook.
Ah,
Well, the other Starfleet spook. Jed, I want you to continue looking down trying to get in contact with Ray or look over the intelligence files I showed you. If we're lucky, maybe she's been trying to contact us through the other means. I'd hate to leave an asset out there and them while they're trying to call us. They're not full of spies over there, but maybe they got lucky and they called someone that we can actually call back.
Yeah, I'll look through other means of communication through the subspace network. I have to say though, she's been in the dark for a long time.
Well, our job is to find the unfindable. So do what you can, and if you have to pull from some of your resources, what little you have out here, use what you can.
With those two subspace relay stations down, it's going to be difficult.
Nothing on the Argo's easy, Jet. Downside of not working on an intelligence ship, we kind of have to find shoelaces and tie them together and pretend it's a probe. So most I can do to help you is possibly throw crew at you, but as you can see, we're all hands at the moment. Ideally, I'd help you myself, but I have a extraordinary battle plan to figure out on top of everything else.
Well, I'll see you later on. Hopefully, I can dig something up, or at least maybe get a message out to her.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Lost
Good
someone
luck,
for a
Commander.
second. You too, Commander.
Make my way over to Rayburn.
sir?
All right, so let's get to work on figuring out this battle plan. I don't know how we're going to pull this off with one ship, but let's work with worst case scenario of just us, and we can build up from there in case we manage to find help. Well, we do have help technically, but again, assume the worst, and then we can build up on the fact that we actually have two ships that we could talk to that might help us. Plus, whoever else might not want to be oppressed. I'll start walking out and walking toward my my office.
And I'll head over to my station to begin work on the plan.
Put Trey over there because it should be.
Mr. Trey, have you been able to get anything more definite on those sensor ghosts from the probe net?
Unfortunately, not, Captain.
Keep an eye out. Go back here to the mission ops board, pull up the data Wolfgang had on the shipyards. What exactly do we know about them?
Okay, so you're gonna look up at least the data that was collected on the shipyards from the Atlantis.
Right.
Give me reason plus command. Difficulty of 3.
Are you thinking, or did you cut off?
Did you not hear me? I'm sorry.
Difficulty of what?
Difficulty is 3.
Okay. Do not think. This is just to retrieve the information, right?
This is to go over and assess the information.
Okay, so strategy and tactics as a focus.
Yeah, to figure out how you could
Okay.
potentially assault it and
Difficulty 3A. Well, take 3 bold for 4 dice. Oh, I'm gonna reroll one of those zeros. There we go.
1 momentum gained.
Just making that a note so I don't forget what I'm planning. My plan to make a plan.
Ah, okay. So, but beyond just that tactical situation, do we know? I mean, we know its location. Um, how big of a? I mean, obviously pretty big. I mean, are we talking like space dock size kind of operation?
It's probably more accurate towards a mini Utopia Planitia.
Okay.
Like they're building multiple vessels there. They've probably been building them from some time.
Hmm. How long is the question? So is it designed like one massive structure where they build it, or is there kind of several different dry dock kind of things like from the motion picture where the ships are
There's
constructed?
several multiple dry dock facilities, and then
Okay.
there's several probably supporting stations.
So it's not like it's all in a nice one little bundle that
Yeah.
could somehow be made to go kaboom all by itself. So infiltration may be the best thing there, and we're certainly outnumbered. Fair enough. Yeah, you guys can go ahead. I was just sort of trying to get a picture in my head of what the station was like.
Oh, Rayburn's just over at his station, kind of coming up with various scenarios and how each one could potentially be neutralized or mitigated to our advantage.
And I'm mainly just assisting because probably when stuff's added to the project file, I'm pointing out like, well, here's something I think we could do, or here's what I think the Argo can do. Here's what I know of such things. Security. Because I imagine you have the better security between the two of us. One would assume.
I would hope.
Mr. Rayburn, number one, is there any possibility that we might be able to detect any sort of breaches between the two dimensions? I can't believe I'm actually talking like this.
Wolfgang will flip the switch in his room because he's actually probably been hearing him talking through the console because he's in his office working on his own console, so that he doesn't take up a sensor station on the bridge. I believe such things were detectable before, sir. It's not something the standard sensor package would detect, but if we know to look for it, it's something that sensors on Excelsior should be able to pick up a little more readily than older classes like the Constitution back in the day. Couldn't say how difficult it is off the top of my head, but it is possible, sir.
Let's put that in place as well. Beyond infiltration, we're not going to be able to do very much against the station directly, I don't think. So that's kind of shifts our focus towards cutting off their lines of supply from the mirror universe. Although Lord knows, I'm not sure how much they need them at this point.
Well, sir, it might not be and Rayburn can correct me on this since I'm willing to admit when someone has the more experience than me in a department, but one doesn't necessarily need to effect total devastation on a base to render it ineffective. One can make a raiding run or a surgical strike on certain key elements of the various facilities to cripple it, if nothing else, which will slow the production and maybe even a combination of infiltration and raid, given that we do have a small collection of ships and the possibility of K-10 being a forward operating base of sorts, or for our purposes, our only base of operations once we get it going. In best case scenario, if we manage to find someone else that can help us, but working with what we know we have, my estimation is that we could at best do a raiding run rather than absolute destruction model. But if we can find some way, actually, if we could find some way to intercept their supply runs some way, sabotage, and that could be a sabotage vector or a infiltration vector. I mean, easier to sneak in with ships that they know than to sneak in with a ship they know is enemy. Because we can't pretend that the ship is on their side. They know we're not.
Yes, if we could find a ship, perhaps even perform some sort of boarding operation, seize it, we could have a significant advantage at that point. But obviously, it could get messy trying to seize a large ship.
So we'd have to focus on something smaller than us, something we could easily overwhelm with either ourselves or one of the other ships that we are pulling into our fleet. Or if we could just even sneak someone aboard through one of their ports or what have you.
Indeed. And then perhaps sabotage life support or use intruder controls against them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and don't forget, we have some extra personnel available to us now. 1,768 of them, actually.
How many of them are
undoubtedly
security?
security. 123 was the primary base in this sector, after all. Now, I don't know about the two of you, but I wouldn't think that they would cut off communications with the Alpha Quadrant while they were still collecting regular supply runs from that region of space.
If anything, now that I think about it, if the home systems don't realize anything's wrong, they wouldn't stop sending supply routes like our Starfleet or even Federation civilian freighters. They would just come out here like it's any other starbase. Why would they question it? It has Starfleet logos. It looks Starfleet. Sounds Starfleet. They would even. I mean, they probably wouldn't let it go all the way to the shipyard, but they'd probably meet it somewhere or meet it at some station that they control to ferry the materials. They all look perfectly innocent from outside observing. I mean, nothing strange about a Starfleet vessel picking up supplies from a freighter or a support tug.
All right. Lieutenant Haran, dig up the sector maps and correlate with the location of the enemy construction facilities and see if you can't determine the likeliest routes for supply ships to travel from coming through the corridor between the Klingons and the Romulans to that station's location.
Aye, Captain.
That'll give us some places to lay in wait. Right. Keep working.
Aye, sir.
Let's get the cargo sorted out.
Martel, you've been assigned to work on a specific project, essentially creating essentially a raft, in a way, cargo raft, to hold much of the supplies that K-10 will need from the unfortunately, beyond repair starbase.
That I have.
Just so you're aware, the raft will have to be constructed in space.
Oh boy. Okay.
You'll be going into
Yeah.
0G.
And one suggestion was actually cutting away some of the cargo bays from the station and using those.
Uh, yeah, we're gonna have to do that with welders and stuff like that to get a good sealed enclosure for it.
Someone in engineering wants to or spend a momentum roll like an insight engineering difficulty 1.
You got it, Martel?
Would I have a focus? Such as improvisation?
I'm thinking more of like construction techniques.
Okay, so no. Well, I got it.
Get a momentum. You do realize you could probably use a lot of the worker bees in this case from the starbase that are still functional that were used to repair the Argo, to kind of using craft hold of and rip parts of the starbase apart and use them to kind of construct this raft.
Okay. Yeah, why not? All right. Yep. Anders,
Yes, sir.
what you can do about those worker bees? We're gonna need their help. Uh, whether it be automated or piloted. This is a lot of work just for an engineering team. See if we can get some help from the station's engineering team too.
Yes, sir. Andrews will try and organize both the engineers in our team that use the worker bees and the ones Starbase 123 and try and get them organized into working parties, I guess. So, what, President's Engineering?
You don't have to make a roll for it.
Okay.
Basically, it's me spending my advantage to lower the difficulty.
Oh, fair enough. Cool.
All right. This will be an extended task. I'm assuming you're grabbing EVA suits and whatnot.
Whatever we need, yeah.
Okay. This is going to be difficulty 3, work 24, magnitude 5, resistance of 2.
Difficulty is reduced to 2 due to my engineering talent.
All right.
You said daring engineering?
Yes. Daring engineering. Because this is a little bit not typical.
Yeah.
It isn't in the handbook on things to do with your Starfleet. So this is a thing Federation Civvy freighters.
I love that the task
Eh.
is called "How Not to Ship Cargo."
Oh boy. I'm going to spend. You know what? Why not all 3 momentum? Because I don't have a focus in this. I don't think.
I'll get the 1 momentum. 7 challenge dice for me, please.
Oh boy. That's 10 work
You have
and
the
2
one that,
breakthrough. This is the broken one.
yeah, no.
Optimized. Optimized is the word you're looking for.
That too, yeah.
You have Miracle Worker. And the difficulty goes down to 0, but I'm going to spend 2 threat because why not? Let's make it difficulty 1.
To increase the difficulty to 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, what? Okay, no, I don't. I'm going to spend 1 more momentum.
Makes me wonder if he's going to one-shot this or not. That's the wrong dice pool there, buddy.
No, that's the right dice pool.
Oh, I didn't even see the first one. All right, get the momentum back. So that's 6 work.
6 work and 2 breakthroughs, yep. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, resistance is 2.
I'm spending 2 threat to reduce the work track by 4. Get down to 12 work. As you're constructing this raft in space, you begin tearing a certain hull section out, and it just rips part of the platform, and it kind of floats away and hits the raft, and you have to start cutting and through the damaged section now as it all this debris.
Yeah,
It's not ideal setting to be building something.
right. You did track the 1 momentum gained, right, Wolfgang?
One. You spent all, and you gained 1. Spent.
I spent all the roll before this past one.
Oh, you gained another
Gained,
one.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you should only be at 1 momentum.
Oh, okay.
Right. My bad.
Oh.
All right, it's difficulty 0.
Oh, okay. There.
2 momentum gained. 7 challenge dice, please.
Yeah, I'm re-rolling those 3
Why it's done.
because that's only 8 work.
Right, but you got all the breakthroughs.
Magnitude's what matters, not work.
Okay.
So yes,
Thankfully.
you completed construction of this giant cube in space. Doesn't look pretty, but it will hold all the cargo. Now, you have momentum if you wish to add any little extra things to the raft. You're more than welcome to, but
Uh,
it's essentially a giant cargo container.
yeah. can't think of anything that would be useful unless the space station had RCS thrusters, which we could be fired remotely.
Oh, so it can be its own little like it can float. It can maneuver itself a tiny bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. There's probably someone could scavenge because stations have RCSs just to move to do minute adjustments.
Yes. Trying to think if they'll need their own power source or if they have their own or they need one.
Yeah, that's what I
Uh,
was afraid of. Was
They
would need
they
it.
generally need power. The RCS goes off of the EPS system of a ship usually.
Yeah,
so
which this cargo container doesn't have.
We'd have to add a power source, even a small one, just to power the little thrusters. It wouldn't be a ton. It wouldn't need to be a ton of power. A basic reactor could do it, but because you don't want we don't need to go to impulse. We all we wanted to be able to do is do basically in combat terms maneuver one. I move one range increment. What else do you do? That's it. I can't move faster. I'm a little tug. Well, not a little one, but you know.
I'll say for 2 momentum that you've created RCS thrust added on there and a power source for it as well.
Won't be pretty, but it'll work.
I mean, it's the definition of jerry-rigging something together.
I'm just imagining this thing in my head now. It would look beautiful
Hey,
in functionality and terrible for aesthetics.
It's an improvised cargo container.
Yeah, real. With retro rockets. Did that check include like the tethers and stuff we wanted as well?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay. Wanted to make sure. Do you want to be like, aha, gotcha? Like, well, hold on.
All right. Anything else you wish to do? You guys kind of like talked it out with what scenarios you were coming up with.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even invoke an advantage creation here because we're not attacking it this session, as it were. So it wouldn't really help us.
That might be something for later on. You probably are gathering preliminary data.
Yeah. I guess the only other thing Wartburg might do once the battle plans are like, once me and Raven are basically like, well, there's only so much we can do until we know that's what we're doing next. So here's the plans. We wrote it all down. At most, he might check in with Jet, see how he's doing, and then after that, he'll probably go back to the bridge for normal bridge operations.
Jed informs you he hasn't had any luck yet. He's going through very shady people.
Yeah, that takes time.
I believe all that's left is to pick up the crew members and then start transferring cargo over to the lovely cargo container.
That sounds about right. Unless Haggard wanted to start bombarding the planet and wiping them off the face of the galaxy.
No.
Okay, just check if you're a mirror, Captain, that's all.
Not mirror, Captain. I'd be wearing more leather.
There's something I'm just going to leave that alone. I don't...
So yeah, let's go pick up the rest of the Starbase's crew and load up the ship and the cargo container. I want Lieutenant Haran to plot us a course that's kind of roundabout to Station K-10. I don't want us to, if possible, I'm worried about these sensor ghosts at the edge of the system. I'd like us to try and lose any pursuit before we head to K-10. Kind of confuse the enemy about exactly where we're headed.
Maybe setting up some probes to act as a sort of what's the phrase? Shoot, player and character both are forgetting at the moment. Chaff almost, sort of a to kind of scatter anyone trying to come after us just long enough that it makes them tracking us that much harder.
Well,
We'll be down some probes, but
definitely head off in a different direction than K-10 and, do some small warp jumps to make it more difficult to track our trail.
Or do the classic Starfleet flight school maneuver of find a nearby stellar phenomena, hide in it, and then leave it from another point.
Yeah, but so if Haran can plot us some sort of evasive course designed to elude any pursuit.
Or at least make it harder, if nothing else.
Right.
An advantage. Yeah. Or it's supposed to be like
count this as an advantage creation. So reason plus con assisted by these ships and computers plus con. Difficulty of 2.
Haran?
I can chase down Haran. Give me a moment. Where are they? There they are. The roll again is, sorry?
Reason plus con, difficulty 2, assisted by these ships, computers plus con.
Astronavigation as a focus?
Yeah.
Would this count as plotting a course through unknown territory for the purposes of the Pathfinder talent?
Unfortunately not. This is known territory.
Hooray. Worth asking. Spend that one, she has cautious. Plus the reason's terrible.
Ooh.
Well, one momentum gain. There is a complication.
Reroll that with technical expertise.
Yeah, it says be sensors computers, so yeah.
No help, but one momentum gained.
Boop. And I'll mark that she was used because that matters. Sorry, just doing some bookkeeping for Haran.
Okay.
There.
So, but yeah, let's continue to pick up the crew and get the cargo situated.
So probably a combination of beaming and shuttling people to kind of make it quick. So we're not sitting here for too long.
So we need to make any rolls for any of that, GM?
It depends on how you wish to get to the planet. If you're using the shuttles or the Argo itself to ferry the people to K-10.
I think we would use the Argo if it's. You said the repairs have been completed.
Yes, repairs have been completed. However, there's over like 500 people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just bring them all into the Argo. Argo could fit that many people.
Right? No,
Yeah, I mean,
that's not what I'm worried about. There's other things. So you just need to know what you guys are doing.
I think we're beaming up people and shuttling both the cargo and the people to kind of be a combination of them, so it can go by rather quickly.
Yeah, I think the idea for picking up the people from the planet was to take the Argo there and use a combination of transporters and shuttlecraft to get them on board quickly and efficiently.
Because we can only use so many of our transporters at a time. With that number of people, it's just faster just to beam like sets of 6 or however many we can in transporters, and then like fill up the shuttles, which can carry way more people than a transporter pad up, and then just ferry stuff
Right.
up. Plus some of the heavier materials or materials that isn't really safe to beam necessarily, but we can just put it on a shuttle to haul it up. Or just people who don't like transporters. Like some of the civvies might be like, I don't like transporters. Fine, get on one of the shuttles. We have like 4 of the darn things. Who cares? Or sorry, we can support like, am I right? 4? Yeah, we can support up to 4 shuttles at a time. I guess the main goal of doing it this way is speed. We're trying to do it as fast as possible while still maintaining security, because that's the other part too. We're going to be screening, we're going to be doing that whole quantum scanning thing on people as people come in case anything, to make sure no one of the other side is infiltrating aboard. Tick, tick. Because that could be, I mean, in theory, there could be one big role or 2 separate roles that have their own problem, because the transporter problem plus the shuttle coordination problem. Because we're essentially sending down 4 buses to help pick up people as part of an evacuation. Like, this is not a this is an annoying thing for one ship to be doing.
Okay, so for this, are you just straight impulsing getting out of Starbase, because you're still technically docked within 123.
Oh, well, we'd warp over to where they are, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're in the same system, so we would just be impulsing over there. But first, we'd use, thrusters to carefully pull ourselves out of dock number 3. I think it was, because as I recall, it was a very tight fit.
Yes.
Then throw a tractor or whatever. If the cargo container still is attached to us, we could probably stabilize it with tractor beams and haul it with us. Plus, but this can work as a sort of shakedown cruise for the cargo container.
Yeah, is the cargo already loaded up, or what's?
Well, we probably have the container. We don't have their stuff from the planet, though. Yeah.
Well, the planet's not really the stuff. The planet is basically that's where all their escape pods went.
Oh, right.
All the stuff we're concerned with is the station. I mean, there'll, I'm sure, be some personal belongings and
okay.
some pieces of equipment, on the planet. But yeah, it's the stuff in the station where
I had it in my head we had to grab all the cargo from them as well as from the station. That's why I was like, what?
Yep, it's really just the people from the planet. So yeah, if the repairs are complete and the Argo is good to navigate freely, we'll undock from the space station and impulse over to the planet where the rest of the survivors are and uh, commence beaming and shuttling them to the Argo.
I'm going for just to get out of the hangar. It's going to be a daring plus con. Difficulty 2, assisted by the ship's engines plus con to safely get out.
Kiji or Martel, you wanted to grab West and fly us out of here?
Who am I grabbing?
West, she's our badass pilot.
Ah. Where is she? West. Oh, there she is. Okay. What's the roll?
Daring con, diff 2, assisted by engines con.
Okay. I assume she has helm operations for this? For her focus?
Yeah, helm operations will work.
Oh. Does she have talent to re-roll?
There is no talents to reroll with con unless you
That sucks.
bought a die using bold. I
Engines
need
con
engines
for the ship.
Yeah, engines con.
What we're trying to hit difficulty 2.
Yes.
Do not have anything to squash the complication with. Why didn't you buy a die, dude?
I thought she was good at this.
She is. That's why she buys dice.
That's right.
But yeah,
Oh.
no, I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, go
She
ahead.
accidentally puts us into warp without activating the inertial stabilizers first.
Okay, actually, I think her push the limits would have applied.
In this case, I don't know about that.
I know environmental conditions. Well, I mean, she's tried to pull the ship out of a very tight. I mean, literally. You definitely want to roll her untapped potential, though.
Yes, roll on tap potential.
Hey, that's
So
true.
One challenge dice.
We might get lucky. Nope. Oh wait, yes, actually.
Yeah, we did. That's enough
two
to squash
momentum
the
gain.
complication.
Which that's enough.
There we
dice.
go.
Jeez.
See?
Wait, so do we get 2 or just 1 from that?
2 momentum from the.
Okay.
One of the rare times the challenge dice actually gives you what it rolls.
See? Told you she was good.
She's new. She still has the lesson. She's still fresh from the academy. They covered this actually. Of course they did.
The Argo squeaks just nearly by, almost hitting as there was a debris field coming, and West just barely just rotates the ship just enough so it doesn't hit the inside of the bay and dodges this big bulkhead that was kind of cut away and just drifting in space because someone forgot to secure it. And
Tazuva.
gets to a
Mr.
safe.
Martel. Jetson. Haggard will loosen his white-knuckled grip on the arm of his chair and... All right, Lieutenant West, take us over to the planet. I'm taking it we have not loaded all the cargo yet. We're getting people first, or have we loaded the cargo and now we're getting the people?
You guys have not said what if you load the cargo or not.
We shall load the cargo.
Or do we want to get the people, and then we'll have more people to help load the cargo?
Actually, yeah, that makes more sense because then we have the just sheer manpower.
Well,
Yeah.
the cargo container is in space, sealed.
So we take it with us. Like I said, it works as a nice little shakedown to make sure nothing falls apart when we move it.
Okay, so is the container itself loaded with cargo, or is it just the empty container?
Apparently, it's just an empty container because we never gave the order to load it.
Okay. That's what I was kind of confused by.
Yeah.
All right, let's let's take the container under tow. Let's rig it how we're going to rig it.
Do a
Martel,
little.
are we going to be able to load it once we've rigged it to the ship, or do we have to load it and then rig it to the ship?
That's mainly your call, Captain. Personally, I'd use the transporters to load it. If we can.
All right. Well, let's rig it to the ship however we're going to do that, and we'll take it with us to the planet as kind of shakedown, as Wolfgang says. At least if something goes
After we're
terribly wrong.
done,
What was that?
after we're done at the planet, Captain.
No, we're going to take the cargo pod that you built under tow, one way or another, and then go to the planet, pick up the people, come back, and then load both the ship and the cargo.
Okay,
Towing
understood.
it with us to the planet will be sort of a test run for the concept.
Understood.
The idea is so you don't lose the cargo.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. I'm going to need a control plus security assisted by the ship's structure plus security to difficulty of 2 to lock a tractor beam and place it into position for the cargo container.
Who's rolling that?
That would be, I believe, Rayburn because it's
That'd
control
be
plus
you,
security.
Rayburn.
Yep.
Okay. I will buy 1 die with a momentum.
Oh, you can't have it now. You had your chance.
That's right.
Oh, okay. See how it is. Actually, no, that doesn't help me. I have bold, so I need to use threat. So I'll give you a threat instead. And 3 dice. Let's see here. Can I use shipboard tactical systems as a focus?
Sure. Get 2 momentum so far. Structure security from the ship.
And there goes the
All the complications.
Yeah, ship's not. Well, it's because it rolled that 2 early on.
All right, you lock a tractor beam on the cargo container. You get it in position. The harnesses attach.
Once Martel
Sir, we've got it.
Once everything reports secure, and Lieutenant West, take us to the planet.
Control. Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's go with control plus con. Difficulty of 1, assisted by the ship's engines plus con. And this will use a power.
I will use the momentum this time for 3 dice.
She is bold.
Does she have bold? Okay, well, never mind. I'll give you a threat then. And helm operations again?
Yes. 2 momentum gained.
You said it used a power.
Yes, it does use a power. Because
Okay,
you're going
got
to
it.
warp.
Yeah.
I don't think
And then I'll roll for my untapped potential.
All right. Ah, bizarre. I gain a momentum, but I get a threat. The Argo does a short warp jump to the planet. The cargo container is still in tow.
Very good. Lieutenant Mira, contact the people below. Mr. Rayburn, number 1, oversee the embarkation of our guests.
Of course.
So you're using the ship's transporters and the shuttles?
Yeah.
And are you checking each individual's quantum signature when they're boarding?
Yes.
Okay. I will probably, to help speed things along, because we're still in the first scene, make a couple different tasks. I'll do one for the transports, one for the ferry with the shuttles, and then one for Rayburn to check everybody. For the transport, to start beaming everybody up, let's make this a control plus engineering difficulty of 4. This is by the ship's sensors plus engineering, so make difficulty 3.
Martel, that's you or Anders, whoever you want to roll with.
I think I'll roll with me because that's a 17 with a focus. Ooh. You said difficulty 4?
Difficulty 3 because the ship's sensors knock it down.
3. Okay. You have a focus because I have a focus in transporters.
All right.
I'll go on ahead and take three momentum because I know the con task is a bold person.
So 3 momentum is being spent.
And then, just for future reference, I do have technical expertise,
Okay.
which is by here.
Just need the ship's sensors engineering.
No need for it. Okay.
And you get the 3 momentum back. And you start beaming the crews over. it's going to take a while because it's 500 people.
Yeah.
For the fairy, whichever character you're sending to do that, that will be a control plus con by the shuttle's engines plus con difficulty of 2. So
I can have Ron handle that so we can keep West up and go.
Sounds like a plan.
Plus, she has small craft spec, so.
Yeah, and she's, I think she's cautious as well. Instead
Cautious, yeah. Kill one of those for an extra die. Small craft focus. I assume it's okay.
yes.
And okay. Plus the shuttle.
I got it.
Oh, you got it. Good.
Engines con.
Yep. All right, 1 momentum.
Give that a reroll just for giggles.
You're asking for
no,
it.
never mind. That's engines, not computers or sensors. Never mind. Can't do it.
I mean, unfortunately, you can't do that. So yes, you get the momentum back. Are you trying to roll into a complication? Just
wondering. No, I was trying to get extra momentum. I forgot that technical expertise doesn't work for engines.
All right, Rayburn, you got 500 people you have to go through.
Sounds like fun.
Yes. Give me reason plus security. Difficulty of 4.
Oh, this isn't going to end well.
Ship assisting at all?
I suppose with sensors security.
Also, Rayburn, you have the chief security super, so you have, you could use that as an advantage to help you out because you have a staff.
Okay. How can I use that to my advantage?
Typically, it can be used like any other advantage. So bring down difficulty, bring down resistance, make the impossible possible in the sense of like certain things aren't possible unless you have certain advantages. For example, I imagine that doing this check probably is almost impossible with one person, but it's possible if you have a staff.
Okay. So I will have my staff, my security officers basically scanning people as they come in with me.
Okay, if you're going to use your staff, then let's make this presence security instead of reason security.
Well, it increases it by 1.
Difficulty 3.
Difficulty 3. Okay. Let's see. I don't think I have any focus that's gonna work for this. No. Can I use a determination of being self-centered and determined to do this myself type thing?
You're getting your staff to do this. So if you were doing this
Well,
all on your
that's
own,
right. How about I'm always right? All right. So if that won't go, I will use, what is it, 3 momentum for 2 extra dice.
Do you have bold instead of cautious?
Well, my value is bold, but my talent isn't.
Oh. I always mix that up. My bad.
All right. How much is it for the fifth die?
3 more momentum or threat. Or
So
combination
it'd have to be the 2 more momentum plus 1 threat if you want to.
I will give 3 threat to you so that we have the momentum to squash
Yep.
the inevitable complication I'm about to roll.
All right.
All right, no value. Complication range 1.
Yes. Well, you get a momentum back. And you manage to vet everybody, and everyone seems to be from your universe.
All right, I'll relay that information to the captain that everyone is checked out.
Understood, Mr. Rayburn. Good work by you and your team.
Thank you, sir. It was quite the challenge, but I knew I could do it.
Lieutenant West, now that everyone's aboard, correct?
Yes, everyone's aboard. Your cargo bays are filled with people. And
Lieutenant West, take us back to Starbase 123 so we can begin to load the Argo down to the bulkheads.
all right, and no roll. You return back to 123 to pick up the cargo. This is going to be a control plus engineering difficulty of 5 by the ship's sensors engineering. So, if 1 to beam the cargo over. Diff 4 because the sensor you have advanced.
And one of the supporting support Martel.
Or engineering staff, for that matter.
So what?
You've got a control engineering difficulty 5. We were just asking if supporting could support you, or the engineering department, whatever.
Okay.
If he wants to use the engineering department, it would be presence plus engineering difficulty 4.
Yeah, my
and
presence is terrible.
Well, then could he get?
Am I doing?
From Anders or somebody?
Still have that. You know what? I think I'm going to spend my determination if I can on this roll.
On what?
I'm thinking better with machines than people.
Like
Elaborate.
personally doing it instead of actually using have
Oh.
to. Aw.
Sorry.
If you're doing it yourself, I will allow it. But I'm increasing the complication range
That's fine.
to 3. Because people
Wait,
keep bothering
okay.
you, like, sir, we can help you. It's like, no, I got this. This is all on me. No, go away.
Go fix
I'm-
a replicator or
I'm
something.
sorry, my Discord cut out when you told me what I was doing. Not for the role, but like what I was trying to do.
Like, the reason why the complication is up because people keep bugging you while you're trying to transfer the cargo, beam it from where they've all gathered the supplies from one location,
Okay.
and beam it to another.
Okay. I mean, the other thing that I could use is nothing beats Federation technology.
No, I'm allowing the one.
Okay. Yeah, and then I'm gonna grief. Hate to have to do this, but I'm gonna have to spend 2 threat, 3 momentum. And I do have technical expertise. And I need to roll one more thing. Make sure I got that on this one. Yeah, I do. Nope, don't get it back.
2 momentum gained. And the cargo is successfully beamed into.
It's 4 momentum. It was diff 4.
Oh, right. Yes, my bad. I got ahead of myself. My apologies. So yes, you beamed the cargo into the cargo container, and you're ready to disembark for K-10.
So we're loaded to the gills, both internally and externally, with stuff
Yes,
from
you are.
123. Okay.
In fact, your shuttle bay is crowded.
Senate West, laying a course for station K-10. Let's take us out at the edge of the system so we can get a look-see before we drop in, just in case. Lieutenant Haran, check the star charts and see if there's anywhere convenient to do a little sneak and peek from on the edge of the system.
Harankai speaks up. There's only 5 planetary bodies in the system, Captain. There's not.
Understood. We'll try and we'll hope that our sensors are better than anything someone might have installed on the station in the meantime.
It is possible, sir, we could fire a probe ahead of us, and using its telemetry, we can extend our reach through it. That way, someone will sense a probe rather than the full energy signature of the Argo.
Good idea, number one. Mr. Rayburn, load a Type 6 probe.
Aye, sir.
When we
Get
come
right
out
on
of
that.
warp.
You fire the probe. It leaves the system.
I didn't want the probe to fire until we came out of warp in
Right,
K-10 system.
I'm speeding things along here.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
But yes, you get the all clear. Like the probe detects nothing.
All right.
Doesn't seem to be anything out there, sir.
Well, let's move in and wind up this station one more time.
Sounds good, sir.
Yeah, not even K-10.
All right. I just need West to make a control plus con difficulty of 1, system by the ship's engines plus con.
And we did take that circuitous route here, correct?
Yeah, because you already created the advantage.
Okay,
so.
cool.
Can someone grab her sheet for a second, as I'm just making dinner right now?
Okay.
Thank you.
Control con difficulty
1.
Okay.
Because you're carrying a cargo container.
Fair enough. Just in case, I'll give you a threat for a third die. Okay. That was her, not the Argo, but
Engines con from the ship.
Engines con. Oh, someone's there. There you go.
And untapped potential.
oh yeah, pull her back up.
But 3 momentum gained. And 1
Thought
float.
one. No, flout's fine.
Did you roll untapped potential?
We did.
Very good.
The Argo goes to warp.
All right, I'm back at my computer now.
And we enter scene 2, so you go down 1 momentum. For the moment, you guys have a bit of free role play. Anything you wish to do, you can as you head towards K-10. But for the most part, sensors, you're not detecting anything.
Sensors read establishing all contacts, logging into computer, logging planets as normal, K-10 as normal, no other contacts, and on standby at this time, sir.
Understood. Number 1, keep a sharp lookout.
Aye, sir. Lieutenant Mira, could you do a passive scan of the subspace bands for me? See if there's any emergency buoys or anything. These old stations, someone may have put a warning out there to let people know anything's wrong, or anyone who happens to be living on the station. I don't see anything on sensors, but you might see something on the scopes better than I will.
Of course, Commander.
I swear, Haggard, I'm not trying to get your job. I'm really not.
We'll see. You're the Mirror Universe plant all along.
He's on to us. We have to take him out now.
Go, Gadget Hat.
Warburg to Dotson.
Yes, Commander Wolfgang.
I just wanted to inform you that we are on approach to K-10. So we're gonna once we get a bit closer, we're gonna give it a scan, see how much we can do. So if you could do us a favor and see if there's anyone who could specialize in recovery operations from your staff, we can coordinate with our Lieutenant Commander Martel to see about getting this thing on its feet as soon as possible once we've cleared it. And if you could you, if you have any advice, feel free to pass them on to the Martel as well. He'll be taking the lead on this one on behalf of the Argo.
Understood, Commander. To be honest, it depends on what we walk into on K-10. I really won't know what until we do a full assessment on it. Station's been abandoned for a long time.
Warper kind of looks over at Haggard while he keeps talking. Actually, as well, we're probably going to send a away team to secure the station first, and then we'll probably follow up with a engineering team. That's all right with you, sir?
It's fine by me. We're merely guests on board your ship.
Oh, sorry, Commander. I was asking the captain that. Keeping the comm open to save time, which that didn't work, but what do you think,
Correct.
Captain?
Correct, number one. Commander Dotson, if there's anyone you want to send along with the away team to make your own assessment, your people may well know. Well, your people will know more about what is going to go into getting that station back online than ours will. With due respect to Commander Martell.
Mm-hmm.
I can gather up a few engineers that can go over there and assess, but I would prefer the station to be secure before I send him in now.
Understood. We'll take care of it.
Relay a
All right,
few
we'll get back to
security
you as soon as we
teams.
can, Commander. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I can relay a few of my security teams that are here to help secure the station if you like.
Keep them on standby. We'll get back to have them ready in case we need the extra manpower. But we'll see what our first encounter, our first away team over there will be. Given that no one's been there for the last 10 years, we want to make sure things are safe before we start bringing our friends from afar into our fray.
Yes, I would strongly prefer to use my team to secure the facility first.
Anyway, Commander, I hope you have. I will speak to you soon, hopefully.
Noted. Thank you.
He flips the switch, kind of looks over at Reaper for a second, and doesn't say anything. Just kind of looks at him. Like, yeah. Looks to the captain. Captain, on your order, sir, we can start arranging for an away team to head over. I would recommend at least Rayburn and Martell to go over there.
Agreed. Mr. Rayburn, I recommend you take Lieutenant Sushran and any other security officers you think might come in handy.
Very good, sir. Authorization to use Type 3 phasers?
I don't see the need for that. I think Type 2 will be perfectly serviceable.
Yes, sir.
Assuming we don't detect any life signs on the station before we board. I turn around and hold up my hand placatingly to Wolfgang. I'm using we in the generic people from the Argo sense, not we as in I'm coming with them, number one.
Very good, sir. Bridge to Lieutenant Commander Martell.
Martell here.
We're going to be arranging an away team here soon, so I would prepare to do a survey of K-10. It's going to be a security sweep, but we're going to be sending you along to do some of the preliminary research to make sure it's safe for future engineering teams to go over there. We're going to be sending along Rayburn and yourself, along with some additional staff, so make preparations as soon as you're able.
I'll be at the transport room in 5 minutes.
Have we checked to make sure that life support and everything is functioning correctly over there?
Once we're within range, that's my intention. Oh, sorry, Martell. That's bridge out. To answer your question, Rayburn, sorry. Once we're within range, I intend to do a more in-depth scan to make sure life support's on. If not, we'll actually set aside some of the EVA suits ahead of time just to save us the trouble of having to lug them down there. because even if life support's completely failed from top to bottom, we still need to survey the thing to make sure physically to make sure there's nothing strange over there. Sensors can only tell so much that the Mark 1 eyeball can't tell you.
Sounds good, sir.
Lieutenant Mira, anything?
Nothing, Commander. I'm not even picking up transmissions from the other two ships that departed from Starbase 123.
The ones that went to Denesia?
Correct.
That's right. They should be ahead of us a little bit, or at least within comms range.
Well, they weren't going to rendezvous with us at K-10 until sometime within the week. So we should have gotten here first, but...
I'm going to do a scan to see if there's anything that could be scattering subspace signals.
Reason plus science, difficulty 0. Suspect the ship's sensors plus science. Did you get that for the scan?
And the
One float.
You can ask your fancy question.
Did another sweep of sensors, Captain. I'm not seeing anything that would be interfering with communications. At least not within local space. Best guess, one of two things. Either there's some sort of anomaly between us and them that's interfering with the signal and we can't talk to each other, or they've been intercepted. Or otherwise their communication systems are damaged to the point that they can't talk to us. Which is a feat, quite a feat for modern day starships.
We're just doing a passive comm scan, though, correct?
Yes, Captain. We're listening in.
Fair
Just for
enough.
any chatter. If I broadcast out, it'll give away our position.
Understood. But you don't detect any kind of jamming or anything, number?
No, nothing. So within system, there's nothing. Nobody's talking out here, and we can't see anything on sensors. Which in open space like this, with no real phenomena beyond the planets, and even then, that's not enough to hide a ship, short of full-on cloaking technology.
Well, I wasn't expecting the Janolans to get here before we did, so hopefully they're still just wrapping things up in Denesia or still en route. I think their ETA was sometime within a week.
Welcome back.
Let us know when we're in scanning range of K-10, number 1.
Aye, sir. Rayburn, you might as well start gathering up your team, and I'll give you the green. I'll let you know if if you're going to need the suits or not.
Very good. And Rayburn will head off, and he'll probably give a little tap on how do you pronounce him?
Tazuva.
Tazuba. With me.
Oh.
And
Yes, sir.
into the turbo lift.
Now, Tazuva's your ship shooty shoot security guy.
Oh, okay, he's not good with. All right, so.
I mean, he's not terrible with him. He's a security officer, but
Well, yeah.
his focuses and talents are more towards shipboard weapon systems, whereas Shran's the infantry person.
All right. Tashuba, come with us. You're gonna help Sharan to get her equipment together.
Aye, sir.
Then you'll report back to the bridge and keep this ship safe. You understand?
Of course, sir.
All right, so we will head there and we'll start getting the suits ready just in case we need them, and wait for communication.
Okay. Several hours pass. It is quite a long trip. You just come out of warp, just outside of K-10. You're currently in extreme range.
Forming, entering into attempting scan.
I'm assuming you're launching a probe.
Yes, because that makes my life way easier.
Reason plus science, assisted by the ship's sensors plus science, difficulty of 1.
There we go.
1 float.
That's true, yeah. Probe away. Reading telemetry. Imagine, sir, back in the day when naval ships had to rely on a bit of glass and telescope to guess at what's on the distant horizon. The tiniest of blips on a radar screen or sonar screen. I don't know whether I would be thrilled with the challenge or utterly daunted.
Indeed, number one. Sometimes in the vast distances we're dealing with, things are just as confused and uncertain. That the sensor ghosts or whatever they were around 123, despite our network of sensor probes.
Sir, reading contacts. K-10 appears to be up and running. Several decks have power and life support is active. Life signs aboard with vessel in docking bay.
Can you ID the type of vessel? You got that. You got your science superpower and floaty float.
Ship type unknown. Does not fit any Federation format. I'm gonna, sir. I'm gonna check to see if I can see any weapons or any sort of configuration. Try to classify its type, if it's a cruiser or just a transport of some kind.
Understood. Mira, let's eavesdrop a little bit.
For a
Rayburn the
momentum
bridge.
for that.
So what was that?
It's a momentum spend for the ship type.
Spending the float.
Yeah.
Rayburn the bridge.
Haggard here. Stand by, Mr. Rayburn.
Copy. Continuing to stand by. As you detect a little bit of annoyance in his voice.
Ooh, the hurry up and wait part of security jobs. Yep, hurry up all the way down here and wait for hours and just kind of keep waiting, apparently.
Told the mission's scrubbed.
Yep.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Okay, Captain, getting more detailed scans on that ship. Best guess, I would say it's a transport of some kind, minimal weapons. Seeing battle damage of some kind, carbon scoring, hull denting, that sort of thing.
Can you get a read on what type of life signs we're seeing?
Well, momentum. Changing band, focusing on biologicals. Oh. Well, the best I can tell you is they are carbon-based humanoids. Once again, the computer's coming up blank. This is first contact.
Fair enough. Lieutenant Mira, any chatter going on in subspace coming from K-10?
I'm not detecting any chatter from K-10. It seems like the subspace relay is offline.
Understood.
Stand by, sir. I think I have an idea. Because if they were going to move around, you don't operate a station without ability to talk. It's too dangerous. You need some way to communicate. So either their ship has a subspace transmitter, and that's how they coordinate, or they're using some alternate means. I'm going to try to see if I can find it. Unless they're just running around with papers in hand. Checking subspace bands. Wait, you just checked for that. Sorry, Mira. Checking radio bands. Checking laser bands, which technically is just looking for light. Checking. He just keeps muttering as he's constantly looking for some means of communication. Semaphore. Someone with flags, maybe.
This is a momentum spend.
Yeah, I spent one.
Right. Yes, I see it.
All right. Confirm on subspace transmitter down. They can't talk to that. Even if we hail them, they're probably not going to hear us. But their ship is on minimal power. So they're probably using the station to keep their ship on. And they're using its communication systems.
Understood,
All right.
number one. Bridge to Martel.
Martel here.
Mr. Martel, did I understand that you equipped the cargo pod that we're carrying with station keeping thrusters?
More reaction control system thrusters, sir, but it can hold its own location if we need it to.
Understood, and good work. We may need to detach it here shortly.
Understood, sir. I'll make sure to send the command to bring the RCS system online.
Well, number one, Tawashi, what happens when we hail them, or should we drop in unexpectedly?
First contact protocol. Well, they are work capable, so we just do the standard spacer greeting. We say hello long before know we're here.
What makes you think this is an unknown species?
Computer doesn't recognize them. It's not federational. We don't know what the life forms are. So one would presume first contact.
Is it not recognizing them, or are we just not able to get that granular scan from this distance?
Oh, I'm getting a clear scan, sir. I fired a probe to creep up on them. Most are, and I see them. I just don't know what it is I'm looking at exactly. Beyond the basic standard of humanoid carbon base, which is most things out here. At least they're not Vulcanoid. That would raise so many questions.
Very well. Lieutenant Mira, hail the vessel, I suppose. All frequencies.
Aye, Captain.
This is Captain Ulysses Haggard of the United Federation of Planets Starship Argo. To people currently aboard Federation Station K-10. Please identify yourselves.
Mira just kind of looks at the captain. We are transmitting, sir.
Understood. Haggard to Rayburn.
Yes, this is Rayburn. What's going on up there?
Looks like the station is already occupied. I need you on your station at the bridge, please. Haggard out.
Understood. Rayburn will hoof it up to the bridge.
Mr. Martell. Detach cargo pod. Make sure we remember where we parked it.
Aye, sir. Transmitting activation sequence of RCS control system.
And you detach the cargo pod.
Yellow alert. Lieutenant West, take us in towards K-10. Nice and obvious. Continue broadcasting hails on all channels, Mira. Number one.
And you can just let me know when Rayburn would make it to the bridge.
Let me know if anything changes on our scans.
Aye, sir, will do. Come on, say something back to us. Getting a bit more detailed scans. Best I can say is that I count 587 life signs. I'm trying to do a general health and welfare scan, but without baseline of biology, I'm guessing. I don't know if they're hurt, if they're diseased or anything, but no red alert lights are flashing on my panel, so I'm not getting anything that's obviously dangerous to us.
You said 512?
That would be 587.
I'm sorry.
Not at all, sir. The bridge is a lot louder after when we've been sitting around in it for a few hours. Everything hums in here, I swear.
Continue on our approach. Keep hailing them, Mira.
I swear it's gonna. At this point, sir, it seems like we're gonna have to walk up and basically knock on the door and ask for a cup of sugar. Honestly, never done first contact at someone's door at someone's airlock, but
And I don't take sugar in my coffee, number one.
well, we all make mistakes, sir.
Unless from a tea drinker.
Captain, I'm not getting a response from them. Maybe no one's listening, at least on their end.
This will probably be the last momentum I spend. I don't want to spend too many of them. I can't believe this.
Number one.
Computer double check. No, that's the number. Why would you do that? Sorry, Captain. I know this might be hard to be believed, but there's no one on the ship. They just left it there in the dock. There's no one minding it. There's no one so much as dusting. Everyone's on the station for some reason.
And the station has no comms, we think.
So the phone's ringing, but there's no one anywhere near the phone.
Are the station's sensors active at all? Or can you tell?
It's up and running. If they wanted to see us, they could see us. But at this rate, I'm beginning to wonder if they know standard spacer protocols. Well, sorry, correction, standard federational spacer protocols.
Well, looks like we are going to have to go over and introduce ourselves. Lieutenant West, take us into visual range.
Aye, sir. I'll get right on that.
That's not how West talks.
She has a cold, all right? She's been cranky all day. Just, she's at her station. She's doing her work day.
It's my granddaughter.
You just don't understand.
Should have bought me a car when I was 16. What? Why?
Is there a role for this, or?
Only for ramming.
No. There's no rule.
Ramming speed.
See if you say hi now.
Is Rayburn back up yet?
Yeah, I would assume he'd been up there by now a long time ago.
Okay.
Said he's doing circles with
Mr.
Tran.
Rayburn, raise our shields and modulate them in color guard sequence.
We're waving at them.
Aye, sir.
Well, number one, unless you have a better idea, we put on a little light show, get their attention.
Always happy to raise shields. Makes me feel better. Does Rayburn need to do anything to raise shields?
It's just a minor action. So
Okay.
really, no.
But yeah,
Okay.
there was some scene in one of the treks where the ships were able to like modulate the shield so they would like do color bands and stuff.
So if anyone's looking out a window, they see this bubble around a ship just changing colors for some reason.
Hey, Journal Order number 10. You've got to make every effort.
It's true. Yep. That's why Wolfgang isn't contesting it. It's like, no, we're doing what we can to say hello first.
Okay, you start doing that.
Alrighty, sir. We are most colorful now.
Any activity on the station or ship, Commander?
Scanning. Well, either they don't see it, or no one's looking out a window. Which, given our luck, they are all inside playing Pong. So,
Sir, if I might make a recommendation,
Yes.
what if we ping them? Something, we send a strong pulse that would bounce off the hull of the station that they would be sure to hear, but cause no actual damage.
Perhaps we could use the deflector grid.
We could bounce a graviton.
Number 1.
In theory, we could. Just one strong deflector ping. Though this presupposes that they will recognize that it is a noise coming from a ship at the moment. I might actually instead recommend that we send a shuttle to an airlock and try to make contact that way.
Whoever we send to that shuttle is going to be
Sitting duck.
outnumbered 580 plus to 6 at the most.
The dangers of first contact, sir. We have to say hi to them somehow, and right now, the only cultural baseline I can think of is in-person communication. They're without any baseline of what their communication system is like or their culture. I can't even presuppose that they might even know how that station works. Whereas most species recognize physical appearance. Not all, but most.
I suppose you're right, number 1. Still, though,
It couldn't hurt just to see what happens if we give them an auditory stimulation.
then I'd also take that as an attack. Very well, then. You can cut our light display and the shields, Mr. Rayburn.
Is it wise to drop shields, sir? We do not know their intentions yet.
We'll remain at yellow alert, but for now, they do not appear to pose any threat.
Pardon me, Captain, but yellow alert status regulations require shields are up for the duration. Shields were up before Raybird even got to his seat.
Really? I thought there was red alert when the shields came up automatically.
Well, recent classes have actually made red alert the status for arming weapons. Yellow alert is for shields only.
That was out of character of me.
That's what I'm used to. So that may be. I mean, I suppose one could just have yellow alert with no shields, but because shields alone isn't all that threatening. Because if someone scanned us, it's like we're not doing anything threatening. We just have extra shield. We just have extra protection on. Turning on your weapons is you intend to fight, and that's the only reason you do that is if you're in red alert, like trying to blow up an asteroid or trying to shoot a pirate or rob somebody. But we don't rob people usually, not yet. But
No,
you're the captain. You can change the stand.
According to the command book, it's red alert when shields automatically raised. Yeah.
Oh, bite my tongue.
Yeah, yellow alert everything's are brought to increase readiness, but then at red alert, weapons and defensive systems are brought to full readiness and shields are immediately raised.
Well.
So yeah, we'll remain
Rewind that then, yeah. Wolfgang wouldn't have said that then.
at yellow alert. I thought I remembered reading that. All right. Mr. Rayburn,
Yes, sir.
you and Lieutenant Haran are with me. Number one, you'll have the con.
Aye, sir.
I would like to once again renew my request for a Type 3.
We're going into a first contact situation potentially, Rayburn. Let's not do it with rifles.
Yes, sir.
Who else do I want to
Detect a sense of annoyance again.
I'm the captain. I don't have to care.
Mind yourself, Rayburn, is all you get from. Although by this point, he probably says that to you once every day when you raise your voice at all at the captain, because Wartburg's a bit of a mother hen, as we've established.
I always mind myself, sir.
So I've noticed.
In fact, I mind all day. Every day.
GM, how does the universal translator work in this era? Do I need to grab a separate device or?
It's built in the communicator. It's just at least in the 23rd century, it's built into the communicator.
Okay.
The 22nd century is different slightly.
Okay.
It's like sometimes it's built in the computer, sometimes it's not. So depends on who's writing the story during Enterprise.
Lieutenant Mira, keep monitor on our communications. We may need to tap into the ship's universal translator database or your own skills. So Haggard's going to also get number one. Tell Dr. Ansas to meet us in Shuttle Bay 1.
Aye, sir.
Tell me, number one, we can still launch a shuttle, can't we? With all the cargo?
Our shuttle bay hasn't been altered, sir. It should be still clear.
There's people inside the shuttle bay.
Yep, it was crowded.
Why are there people in the shuttle bay? Why do we have them in there? Get to your quarters. Get into the hallways.
Because you're transporting over 1,000 people.
They can get in the Jeffries
cargo.
tubes. It would appear, sir, the designers of never anticipated that they would need to take on evacuees of the number we have. So, unfortunately, sir, unless we're willing to squeeze our guests into the Jeffries tubes, the shuttles are not an option at this time. I would recommend transporters, unless for some reason the transporters are currently occupied by poker game, at which point I have many questions.
Understood. So
Okay.
yes,
You hear Rayburn under his breath. Mind yourself.
I heard that.
I'll take Rayburn and Ansas. Need another supporting character. Who would be good to take?
Martel sounds like a good supporting character.
Yeah, we'll take Martel as well. Still need an engineer's eye on things.
I recommend we have a backup plan should things go awry over there.
What kind of backup plan do you have in mind?
We could potentially beam some sort of stun grenade or other device into, say, a bulkhead that they would never know about, but should things get ugly, we could implement to distract them and allow us a retreat of some sort.
Rayburn, you're not suggesting. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
Be sure and keep a transporter lock on us so you can pull us out of there if things go sideways. I'll be leaving my communicator open for Mira to monitor anyway, so
Aye, sir.
that's probably the best backup plan for this situation, Mr. Rayburn.
We should at least beam in away from any life forms so that we have time to establish our position and situation so that we don't get jumped while we're being beamed over.
Fair enough. Number one, find us a nice, quiet place to beam in, and you're sure the atmosphere life support is going to be working for us.
I'm going to spend momentum to make sure of that, GM. Unless you want me to do a new roll, which I won't mind because I'll be momentum. Aw, I don't get the roll. It is habitable for ourselves, crew. Yes, sir. Just did a double check of the oxygen levels.
So yeah, we will beam over.
Into space. Haha.
Okay.
And at last, eh?
This is going to be control plus engineering, difficulty of 3, or actually difficulty 2. This is by the ship's sensors plus engineering.
Can Martel make the roll, or does Anders need to?
Anders will need to make the roll.
Since Martel's coming along.
The fight mode activate. Sanders. What was the difficulty again?
2.
Definitely has a focus. I'll take that last momentum for cautious. Control engineering. Ooh. Man, you go, Simon.
Maybe we have a new chief engineer after.
Yeah, he's a maxed out supporting character. So
3 momentum gain.
Upon materializing, Rayburn will immediately pull out his phaser and kind of sweep the area, looking for any kind of threats.
You beam aboard K-10. You in a quiet area. You notice that the lights are kind of dim in this location. Doesn't seem to be anyone around.
Dr. Ansas, where are the nearest life signs?
Let me see.
Reason medicine, difficulty 1.
Let's see. It would be. There they are.
1 momentum gained.
Perhaps it's that way. Oh, there they are. Let's see. About 50 meters that way, Captain. In the recreation area.
Haggard pulls out his communicator. Haggard to Argo.
Argo here, sir. Go ahead.
We're about 50 meters away from the nearest gathering of people. It seems to be in the recreation room. We're headed that way now. This channel open as we approach.
Aye, sir. We'll continue to monitor.
All right. Haggard will take the lead and lead us that way.
All right, you start approaching the rec room area as you kind of stop as you hear someone coming, and you notice it's as they round a corner and they come towards you. They stop and looks like a small child, and they immediately dart away screaming.
Mr. Rayburn, how many times do I have to talk to you about scaring the children?
They need to be scared, sir. They live longer.
And I'll, with a sigh, continue around the corner.
As you turn the corner, you're greeted with a couple people kind of like rushing as, you know, saw the child go away, and a few people kind of came out of the homes looking, and they're staring at you.
I hold up one hand empty and the other hand with the communicator and go, "We mean you no harm. We tried to communicate with you from our ship, but we received no response. I'm Captain Ulysses Haggard, the United Federation of Planets Starship Argo. These are my crew members."
And they kind of look at you strangely, like kind of puzzled, and an older person comes up, just for reference, as get a kind of a better picture as one of them approaches you. They're kind of pale skin looking. They got small ridges on their nose that kind of go up into their forehead and branch off in like a tree pattern. The older gentleman speaks. Chaco, oh, Dikla.
And the translator.
Again, we mean you no harm. We are explorers. This used to be one of our stations. I need you to speak more so that our translator device can lock onto your language.
Jala, ni, oh, Serena, oi.
Kind of make a more gesture and kind of point towards the communicator, and then I make talking as I talk, as I point to my mouth. Yes, more. I need more of your words, and kind of use a please continue gesture.
Mala, oh, elan, we mean you no harm.
Yes. Now, can you understand me?
How do you speak our tongue?
I don't. I have a device we call a universal translator that is purpose-built to help us understand new languages. The more we speak to each other, the more fluent it will become.
I see. Greetings. I am Lutukme. You are
Captain Ulysses Haggard, the Federation starship Argo. We attempted to communicate with you from our ship, but received no response. From what we can tell, there was no one aboard your vessel, and the station's communications are down.
Repairing this facility has been difficult for us. The technology is much different from our own.
Where are you from, and what has brought you here? This is actually one of my people's old facilities.
We're from a system far from here. Many Jabat Muna, Universal Translator kind of has a trying to catch up.
Right.
We are refugees. Our homeworld was invaded by a species, a race that we call the Silken.
And you came upon this abandoned station and began to repair it.
Yes. We were hoping to use it as a way station to find a new home for our kind. So we haven't been able to locate any more of our vessels that fled our homeworld.
This puts me in something of an awkward position. I had come here with crew and supplies to reactivate this station for the Federation. However, perhaps the two of us could sit down and come to some agreement where your people could stay aboard the station and work with ours, help bring the station fully back online together. And we would assist you in searching for and resettling more of your people.
It is
Sir,
most kind of you.
people are trespassing.
Do you actually say that out loud?
Well, I kind of whispered in your ear that they're trespassing on Federation property.
I give you the shut up, deck swabber, third class glare. They teach you that in the academy.
Gives a little grunt.
We do not wish to disaccommodate your people. We are a peaceful people too, although we find ourselves in unsettled times.
He just kind of nods, like trying to understand. Like the Universal Translator is not fully to grasp yet. Like you got part of it.
At which point I kind of look at Ansas and say, quantum resonance scan.
Sir? He'll begin scanning. He'll begin scanning as best he can.
Reason plus medicine difficulty of 1. He kind of like looks at you like as you're scanning him. He's like,
This is my doctor, healer. He is plying his trade. If any of your people are in medical assistance, we can certainly provide you with such.
Hello. Don't mind me.
1 momentum gained.
I'm actually going to spend it right away with a question because he's going to try to cover what he's doing.
Are you able to negotiate for your people, Mitakme?
Yes, I am the elder, the leader.
And I'm the leader of mine, at least those who are here. Perhaps we could find a place to sit down and talk.
Um, of course.
Oh, sorry. Captain, it would seem that he's in prime shape. He's, well, as far as I can tell, anyway. But if there's anything you need, be sure to let me know, good sir. And I am a rather accomplished doctor for my world, and I will always endeavor to do whatever I can to render assistance to those in need.
Thank you, Doctor. And we would be pleased to meet more of your people, Mitakme.
And he nods and he kind of shows you, and you start heading towards past the rec room, towards the sort of arboretum of the station. It's a small one, about
Right.
2 decks high, and inside, it's a lot of some greenery in there, like a lot of plants you've never really seen before, non like federate, like from not from Federation World, presumably from maybe there.
Right.
They brought it with them, and then several strange animals.
How long have you and your people been here?
Kind of stops, thinks for a moment. 5 cycles.
The amount of work you've done is amazing. If it's years.
We we do our best
Wait.
to adapt.
Well, I have. You have on the ship?
And the small child that kind of ran away kind of goes up to the elder and just kind of stands by his side and looks up at you.
Haggard will give the kid a grin. Ah, there's the little one. Sorry, we didn't mean to frighten you earlier. And I can imagine what that must have been like coming around a corner and seeing us.
Well, most of us didn't anyway.
You have to forgive the child. It's the first she's seen of outsiders. She was born here, after all.
There was nothing to forgive. Sure, it was quite a surprise.
We thought this place was abandoned.
We had placed it into what we call mothballs. We closed it down after building a newer and larger station. Unfortunately, that station has been destroyed. My ship is carrying the personnel from it. Our plan was to reactivate this station to operate in replacement of the destroyed station and as a base of operations until such time as the newer station could be repaired or replaced. Despite the fact that it was in an inactive status, the station, I'm afraid, under our laws, does remain Federation property. But again, And we're not going to try and kick you off or kick you out. You've worked too hard to make this place your home, and in generally speaking, these stations historically always had a civilian population. But we do have engineers and skilled technicians of all kinds who will be able to restore the station to its full functionality, and indeed to upgrade its facilities and capabilities to a far more modern level than the equipment here could provide. And should your people wish it, you can become Federation members in due course. And the Federation is dedicated to helping refugees such as yourselves, and I can personally assure you that we will, as soon as possible, bend our resources to finding any other survivors, helping you to resettle on a different planet if you wish, or those who wish to remain here may do so. But I think working together could benefit us both.
We appreciate that, Captain.
So will there be any trouble if I begin to bring my people over?
No, no. Though many of my people have taken the cabins as their personal residence. This station is, well, large. We've taken up nearly 50% by our estimates of the station.
Is that a lot for 587 people, or about right?
That's about right.
Okay.
K-10 can, you would kind of know this, can only hold a maximum of about 1,100 people at a time.
Okay. Can't things be easy?
Like, even with all the crews for the starbase, they're going to be in tight quarters. Like, they're going to have to double up with, even without the actual new inhabitants.
Well, I have to admit that does complicate matters somewhat. However, um, our people will just have to double up uh, as much as possible. And it looks like my ship will be taking on some extra crew. Speaking of, though, some of the people will be bringing over expert shipwrights and can repair your vessel, which appears to have been badly damaged.
Yes, we sustained severe damage when we fled our homeworld.
You should also be aware that we may be bringing trouble with us. We are currently facing a large infiltration of invaders from outside to our outside the Federation. At this point, they are confined to this sector of space, or so I believe, the majority of them. Right? But we had intended to use this as a base of operations with which to help carry the fight to our enemies.
Captain, perhaps we should ask them who they fled from.
The Silken.
Yes, they're quite a ferocious species. How should I put this? They invade our world and use us as, I guess the proper term would be food.
Good lord.
Yes, they're very large and have many appendages.
Is this a race that Haggard's ever heard of?
No.
Okay.
They're called squids. No.
We will do our best to protect you from them as well, but I tell you this because by bringing my people here, I may be putting yours in danger. But I must have this base.
Um, we've been looking for a new world to settle upon, but we haven't had any. Our sensors went offline, and every world we've come to along our journey is inhabited by some race or primitives that will surely see our demise.
Well, we can definitely help with that and getting the sensors on. With your permission, I'll start bringing parties aboard to start getting the station up and running again. Perhaps with the sensors, we'll be able to, and our star logs, will be able to find you a suitable planet sooner rather than later. In fact, number one, I say directly into the communicator. See if there's any likely planets based on Mr. Ansas's scans for Atakme and his people, or at least begin the search.
Aye, sir. We'll begin with our current library, and we'll start scanning up from there.
Understood. And start sending the first teams over. Once you've got a little room, go back and pick up the supply pod. I'm going to stay here and make sure oil gets poured over any waters if necessary.
Sir, will we be able to secure operations? Would make transferring of personnel and goods easier if we can coordinate between station and ship. Unless you want us to dock our personnel. Sorry.
Atakme,
Actually, sorry, retract that. I don't think K-10's big enough for us to dock.
Matakme, could you have your people been using the control center for the station?
Partially, yes. We don't really go up there. There hasn't been a need. Are you referring to the? He kind of points up to the very top of the station.
Am I? Is that where ops
It is.
was? Okay. Yes. If you don't mind, we're going to head there now. You're welcome to come. We can coordinate things better once we get that operations center up and running.
I will have one of our engineers to accompany you.
Excellent. So once he's wrangled an engineer, let's head up and see if we can't get ops up online.
And he walks away, and then a more younger gentleman kind of stand there and he just kind of looks at you and he nods.
Your name, sir?
Coolith. I am pleasure to meet you, strangers.
As well. I'm Captain Haggard. This is Mr. Rayburn, my chief of security. Dr. Ansas, a physician, and your counterpart, Lieutenant Commander Jason Martell, our chief engineer. If you'll take us to the operations center at the top of the station, we'll see if we can't bring it back online fully.
Nods and he shows you. And are you staying? So who's going with the engineer?
Rayburn would be staying with the captain at all times, so wherever he's going.
Yeah, the captain will probably be going too, because I can coordinate things from the station until relieved by Dodson or somebody who's a station guy.
With the captain's permission, Ansas will want to mill about the populace and try to get scans of different people with their permission to try to get a biological baseline for the species, because he doesn't know how healthy everyone is, because he doesn't know what the difference between a healthy and unhealthy of this person of this species is like.
Good idea, Doctor. Just stay out
And
of trouble.
Martell. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and Martell's headed to ops as well.
Okay, so Ansat's staying behind, and you're accompanying the engineer to ops. So the three of you follow the engineer, and as you're walking down the corridors, Martell, you can tell like they've jury rigged this place. They got like wires kind of just dangling in certain sections, and they patched things here. It's give me insight engineering difficulty 1.
Okay. Give me 1 second. You just had to do insight, didn't you?
Yeah, it's just something you can, it's walking down like, do you notice something?
Improvisation?
No.
Can
And-
Haggard make that roll too?
Sure. You both get 1 momentum. The kind of jerrigging they've done is definitely beyond Starfleet code. Like, it's almost like a hazard.
Yikes.
Oh. They've Montgomery Scotted the place.
No, they haven't, Captain. Even Montgomery Scott was not this frugal.
Wow. It's amazing they've been able to do what they have.
True.
But I see
Just a little bit.
a lot of blown fuses and tripped relays.
Like, there's actually several components that are just missing too, and they've taken stuff from other components that normally you don't do and just patched it into to get something to work.
Literally bypassed an entire system.
Yeah.
Or worse yet, combined a bunch of systems. Hey, we got power. That's there's a reason you don't bypass that junction. Bypass that.
Number one, we're going to need the all of Dodson's engineering teams probably. Looks like they've got this place running with spit and baling wire.
Aye, sir. I'll pass along word to Dotson. Once you've given the all clear, we'll start beaming over engineering teams.
And you walk up, and you actually, when you get to, it's kind of a fairly long walk. The turbolifts are not working, so you have to take sort of the access stairway. to
Right.
go all the way up. And when you get into ops, it's the kind of the same mess as before, and they've taken wires and different components and mix match things, and you can tell where the communication relay system would be at. It's not even there. It's completely gutted.
Oh boy.
Well, look at the bright side, Mr. Martell. This is why we have 35,000 metric tons of equipment stripped from Starbase 123.
Yeah.
And that right there makes it a lot easier to upgrade the comm systems.
Makes it easier, sir, but it's still gonna take at least a week to get every single system up and running on the ops deck.
Well, at least it's not just you and your engineering team alone. Dodson's got some good people.
True.
Number one,
Argo here, sir.
I think you can start putting engineering teams aboard. It's going to take a while to get ops online, so as soon as you clear the shuttle bay, I'd recommend starting to send people over the old-fashioned way.
Aye, sir. I would advise that we brief the commander on the first contact situation. And
Make
what
it so.
little we know.
Make it so, number one. We're not. People have done some interesting things to the station, enough that might upset an engineer or six. So please make it clear to ask Commander Dodson rather to make it clear to his people that the people living on the station are to be treated as guests of the Federation and shown every respect.
Aye,
Sir,
sir.
I'd be happy to help as well with integrating them and letting them know that we must be diplomatic. As you know, I'm a very diplomatic man.
Indeed, Mr. Rayburn, indeed.
All right, sir. I'll begin beaming. I presume that since we have operations under control, we can start beaming them close to there, and then we can we can move them out from there to the rest of the station. That way, they can check in, and possibly you'd want at least one team in there trying to fix what's wrong with ops.
Definitely. Be advised that turbolifts do not seem to be online. So tell everybody to wear their climbing shoes.
Aye, sir, will do.
So yeah, as people start arriving, like Haggard will work with Wolfgang and Dodson, and I'll kind of try and coordinate things from this end, both as getting people on and working, and as kind of a liaison with the Takme and Kaluth's people. Hopefully, at some point, I'll get a name for what they call themselves during all that.
Okay, we'll go over to Ansas real quick as you're kind of looking, and doing scans and kind of mingling with the natives. You kind of notice like they have like this certain tree, like it's got blue leaves on it, and you see one person just kind of picking fruit from it.
He'll probably he has like a scanner in hand for when he gets a chance. He'll scan. If they seem. At this point, he'll probably like scan the tree because it could be a source of their food, and that can tell us something about the species. Or it could be for makeup. Who knows?
A reason plus science difficulty of 1.
Science difficulty of 1. Survival focus, because I am kind of checking what if this tree's safe or how safe it would be if we ate it or we interacted with it.
Add increased complication.
Nah, it's not worth it.
Got it. The tree definitely appears to be some sort of fruit bearing tree. Definitely not of a species you know, in terms for like botany purposes of that you've ever encountered. Definitely, probably most likely native from their home world. It is filled with several, you know, various of nutrients, sort of like a super fruit in a way.
To the person who picked it, he'll try to get his. Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Might I ask what you call this tree?
Um, the lima.
I see. What is it you do with the fruit?
We consume it.
You consume it raw or do you cook it? Or otherwise prepare it?
We eat it raw. We can, we sometimes mix it with other foods that we grow in here.
Ah.
The lima is, it requires special nutrients. It doesn't grow very well. We had trouble growing it in the soil here. We had to adapt it from in.
I see. Do you subsist on berries alone?
And well, we don't eat meat, if that's what you mean. We don't consume the flesh of animals.
Is that by choice or is that a dietary? Let me try again. Um, is that by choice or can you not eat meat?
It is. We've never consumed meat. We.
Would you mind if I took one of these berries as a souvenir? A memento of my visit here?
Um, of course, it bears fruit every 12-mile cycles.
It bears fruit how often? I'm sorry?
12-mile cycles.
He notes that on a pad briefly, like, what the? Oh. Well then, thank you. I appreciate the help.
It's almost like the universal translator is having trouble figuring out, like,
I'll
is this
give you
a
the
year,
closest
a
that
day?
it.
I'll give you the closest terminology we can think of.
He's like, gonna ask the communication department what the heck that means later. Yeah. Ansis is gonna take takes some tools from his kit to kind of try to collect one of the fruits as a sample to be looked at on the ship later.
And he just kind of nods and continues on his gathering.
I'll give a scan of him as well, and that's just out of sheer baseline. I'm just gathering data.
Okay, me control plus medicine or science difficulty 2 to start creating like a baseline of the inhabitants.
We'll give you a momentum for cautious because he doesn't want to screw this up. It's kind of important. Xenobiology as a focus?
Yeah. Get the momentum back. And yeah, you've kind of collected enough data that you can sort of gather enough information that they are definitely vegetarians of some sort, herbivores. Like their whole digestive tract, the way it works, is primarily designed to digest, plant material.
Any to put it in a weird mechanical way, is there any species trait that they seem to exhibit in particular? Sharp eyesight, good hearing, can sense radio waves?
No. In fact, their physique wise, they seem a lot weaker than like a standard human. Like they're used to more smaller G force. And you kind of start to notice like the grav plating is lesser than what you would normally feel like compared to Earth norm.
That note's more guessing. Answers to the captain. Dr. Ansis, calling for the captain. Uh-oh. Dr. Ansis to any of the weight team?
Haggard here.
It's
Go ahead,
Rayburn.
Doctor.
Oh, God. Player was having a minor moment for a second. Oh, God, was there a secret message and the captain disappeared? Captain, yes. Just finished a preliminary scan of our friends here, reading them as vegetarian herbivore species, likely a low G species. Those coming aboard must be advised. I advise that all personnel be advised that they are going to experience lower G than normal, and to accommodate as accordingly.
Understood. Thank you, Doctor.
And Captain, I'm going to continue a little more of my survey. But if you need me, I'll be here on the station. Otherwise,
Understood. Haggard out. So yeah, I will route that through to Wolfgang aboard the Argo, and then once Dodson gets over here to kind of take over the coordination of his teams, I'll head out and Matakme again.
Dotson comes up onto the bridge. talk to me with me, Commander Wolfgang.
Yes, Commander. Hold on. K-10 is not empty. We just had an away team come back, and it looks like we have friends. And we're going to have to make bunkmates. Well, not bunkmates per se, but neighbors.
Kind of looks at the pad and the numbers. I got bad news for you, Commander Wolfgang. This is not going to work out.
I know. I'm already looking for a planet for these people to move to. They don't even want to stay on the station. They want to resettle somewhere, but we have to find somewhere for them to go first.
I mean,
Captain's made the offer that we're to assist them. Thus, until I'm ordered otherwise, that's what you and I are going to be doing.
the best bet is we have 400 of my men, mainly engineers, assuming that they're not hostile in nature, start working on getting the station set up. But yeah, I mean, K-10 is not even designed to handle all of my personnel. This is. Oof.
Well, on the plus side, they kept the lights on for us, and they've been there for 5 cycles, which presumably that's years. But Translator is having a fun time over there, and our Lieutenant Mira is doing what she can to narrow down their language. But first contact seems to be peaceable. So as long as everyone's given... and I've been asked that any personnel that go over are to extend all courtesies to our Federation guests, as the captain has extended our the station as a and our aid in the spirit of first contact, which I haven't done that in a bit, but here we are. Well, not in such a straightforward manner, anyway.
I'll let them know on the first team.
And Commander, I'm not sure what you may intend. I might recommend to you that you may wish to go over to operations and coordinate from there, unless you feel your abilities are better served here on the Argo. Since these are your people, after all, and I'd hate for you to feel that we're dictating to you how your people work. I know being ordered around by another captain can be another ship's captain can be as good as Haggard is. It can be slightly chafing over a long term.
I will most likely be going with the first wave. My second can take over here and organize the personnel that remain on board.
And GM, that was sort of a probing question at him. I'm also trying to see if he seems at all perturbed by this, if he's angry, if me mentioning Haggard in a somewhat negative light, he's like, oh yeah, totally hate that guy. Or what? Why are you saying bad things about a captain?
I will give this to you. Like, his mind is like, his focus is not on that. It's more of like, oh god, I gotta get this thing up and running.
His brain's on the job.
And there's people on there. I was like, how am I gonna do this? Yeah, his mind is on the job. Like,
good. I won't have to kill him. I mean, that's good. Also, if possible, could we, as part of this moving of the engineers, can we possibly get the shuttle deck cleared so we can start utilizing our shuttles once again? Or is that not in the cards of our logistics?
I think if we unload most of the supplies, we can move a lot of the people that have been living in the shuttle bay over to those other cargo holds.
All right.
Should do it.
All right. I'll get my people working on that. You get your teams over. We'll beam you over at your transporter chief when you're going and get this show on the road. Hopefully this will be a quick recovery mission.
Well, good luck to you.
I think you need the luck more than I do, Commander, but I appreciate it all the same.
And he definitely walks out like, oh God, what am I going to do? He definitely seems frustrated over the ordeal.
How do you make Commander?
Why do you think he's
Argo to
posted
the
all the way out
captain.
here?
USS Argo to Captain Haggard.
Haggard here. Go ahead, number one. Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted.
I've currently briefed our Dotson. He should be coming along with one of the first teams. We're also starting to make a move of some of our cargo aboard. So we should be getting shuttles in the short term. We're also doing a scan of our library as well to see if we can get these aliens there a homeworld for them or a new world to retreat to. Captain, are you with only Starfleet personnel at the moment?
I'm assuming I'm still up on the
Yes.
ops. Is the Coolith still here?
Yes.
Negative, number one. I'm with native engineers.
Very good, sir. Just wanted to go over a security brief when you're available, but not urgent. Just something I think we'll need to discuss given our current scenario.
Understood, number one. Haggard will step into the commander's office or whatever.
That is one deck below. Like, this is
Wow.
small.
It's a tiny station.
Is like there is no turbolift to operations. It's literally you climb a set of stairs, like spiral staircase to get up there.
Well, I'll head down below and into that office. All right, number one, I'm alone at this point.
All right, sir. It's entirely possible we may have just integrated ourselves into what may be a civil matter. Also, we may be taking on a species. We may be taking on two fronts, as my worry. I don't mind helping people, and it's one of the finest traditions of our service, but we only have so many resources, I hate to say. But I'm not saying we should say no, but
taking on a civil matter.
Well, it's entirely possible that this may not be a. They say it's a refugee matter, that they were being attacked by some invading species, but it is also possible that they are dressing up the truth a little, and this may be a planetary matter. At which point, it becomes regulation, prime directive. Well, not prime directive per se, but one of the sub-articles of the Prime Directive regarding interfering in internal matters. Then again, you are the ranking officer of the area, so I don't really have anyone to report you to. So just advising you of the possible wrinkle we're going to be facing.
Understood, and I think the exiges of our current situation with the mirror problem is I'm going to have to bend the rules a little bit, and I don't want to just kick these people out.
Oh no, I know that, sir. It's just promising a possible aid in their defense. It's hard for us to go back on that once we've said it. And
all I've promised is to help them find a new place to live. Number one.
I certainly hope they see it that way, sir.
Well, that's for diplomatic corps to ultimately thrash out. But as far as I can recall, all I've promised them is we're not going to immediately remove them from the station, and that we help them find a new homeworld and to search for other refugees of their people. But it's well taken. What we need to do in the meantime is figure out exactly what we're going to do with our surplus of personnel.
Yes, Dotson did tell me that current numbers look like we can't both be housed there at the same time. Even his entire complement can't be housed in K-10. It's just not big enough in its current configuration. But that's for now. All we're going to just be moving over all the engineers and getting the station up and running. But the sooner we can get them off station, the sooner we can fill that place with as many Starfleet personnel as we can. In fact, actually, if we wish to more closely align ourselves with this species, it might be possible. I might suggest that we continue habitating maybe some of the civilian personnel if we can find a unclaimed M-class planet in nearby.
Agreed. See what our star charts can turn up. But for now, I don't see that we can do much more than start to work to get K-10 back up and operating at 100%.
Aye, sir. Also, my intention is once we've moved over the engine to make way to the cargo pod and bring it along and start transporting some of it over. And with that done, unless you're coming back, I'm probably gonna put a sensor net around the star system in case we either have our mirror friends come by or these so-called invaders.
Understood. I think I'm going to stay here for the moment, just in case needs to be any potential trouble or misunderstandings. I can hopefully keep the peace.
Aye, sir. And I might advise that you give when you see Dotson a bit of a pep talk. He's the gravity of our situation is a lot stronger than he anticipated. I think. I'm not sure he might need a bit more reassurance. I can only do so much, and it's impolite for a commander to pep talk a fellow commander.
Understood. And also, number one, when you get the opportunity, have the quartermaster and chef put their heads together and see how many extra crew people we can comfortably take on. It may be that we'll be housing some of the personnel from the station for some time.
Aye, sir.
Keep me in the loop, number one. I'll do the same.
Very good, sir. That's it for me.
And Haggard will make his way back up to oversee things till Dodson gets here.
Some time passes, and for the record, Martel, Coolith has been kind of going over what he did, and you're both disturbed and admired his ingenuity.
GM, what are the station's defensive capabilities looking like, or are we at a point where we can tell?
There were phaser banks, but they've been removed.
Okay. And shields?
Offline.
Okay, but there. Okay.
And
Commander Dodson.
Captain Haggard.
Well, it's a bit of a mess, but there are some bright spots too. These people have an amazing, talented engineering jury rigging, which is going to make, in some ways, actually simplifies upgrading the station's systems. Anything that can be opened up and pulled out pretty much has been. Shields are offline. Phaser banks were removed when the station was shut down.
I think there was a shield generator in the. Oh boy, yeah. I believe there was a shield generator, Captain, that we salvaged as long and might be able going through this list. Might be a couple phaser banks we can load on there, but it's gonna take a lot of the materials we salvaged from the starbase to get this station fully up and operational.
Yep, that's exactly why we salvaged them. I know the quarters are going to be tight and that we can't get anywhere near all of your people aboard. I've got my quartermaster figuring out how many we can bunk with in the Argo, and finding these people a planet to resettle on is going to be a priority. But we have to make do. We need to get the station up and running as soon as possible. Priority is definitely shields, weapons, and communications, the usual trio.
Of course, Captain. I'll get my people on it and get this station returned to its former glory.
I know it's a big job, Commander Dodson, but I have no doubt that you and your people are more than capable of meeting the challenge.
And he nods. And with that, we're gonna go to the next scene, and we're gonna kind of advance time quite a bit.
Okay.
Eventually, the two vessels do arrive. The engineering team they've done their best and they've repaired most of the station. During that time, you do manage to find a suitable home world, for which you now learn, which was the New Cuttons. After some time talking with them and getting to know them, it took a lot of doing. There was actually several Class M planets, but there was one that was more suited for their liking.
Had gravity and all that.
Lower gravity, and the sun was just right so that their plants could actually grow in open sunlight.
Is this planet in Federation territory?
It is.
Okay.
It's actually, it's a class. It's a red star. So, but yeah, and for the most part, they're working hard getting the station still underway. You managed to repair their ship, and all of you kind of returned to the Argo.
Okay. And the population pressure has eased on it somewhat, I take it.
Yes, for the most part. It's still cramped there. They've had to convert a couple of the cargo holds into makeshift quarters.
And has the Argo taken on some extra crew?
No.
Okay.
The other two ships managed to kind of had enough room to spare because they're more of relief teams.
Okay.
But during that time,
Mm-hmm. Heard a beaming noise.
Hey! I didn't hear the beaming noise.
oh, you didn't?
No. That's okay. I'll take it as read.
I did.
Who knows?
Excuse me, Commander. Important business. Important business. Kind of hovers over
Jensen.
Hi, Captain. You need a set of coordinates to here, and we need to go now.
All right. Lieutenant West, make it so.
And Wes kind of looks at the coordinates like, Captain, these coordinates take us around the sun.
Jensen, explanation quickly.
We need to go somewhere now, but it's not where. It's more like when, and the time is. I mean, up the essence. I mean, time is relative, but we need to hurry.
She's talking about a slingshot time jump. Are you insane, Jensen?
And with that, we will end the scene.
Nice.